The catch can test or pivot test is essentially lining up a whole bunch of rain gauges along the length of the pivot. We use a 2 metre spacing here, sometimes a little bit closer than that, so that we can see how much water each sprinkler is putting out and between the sprinklers to make sure it's an even application. So it's really a matter of using a tape measure to draw out the line, put the little spikes in and the rain gauges line into the spikes, and then run the pivot over the top and come back and read each one and push it into an Excel graphics package to crunch the numbers for us and give us the distribution uniformity and coefficient of uniformity results and the graphs, so that we can see what's going on along the length of the whole pivot. The information from these tests is used to do maintenance, particularly on the machines. A lot of the time it points to issues with sprinklers being worn out or blocked perhaps, and you can't quite see that they're blocked. Other situations it shows you that perhaps a pump is not quite working as it should, or there's holes in some of the pipe work that takes a lot of water out of the system. Generally we see the amount of water applied at the end of the pivot reduces quite dramatically when that type of thing happens. Watering efficiently is important because we only have so much water per year on our water allocations to utilise, and of course we want the best result out of our crops that we can get, and even watering is the point where you're going to achieve that. The work in this project is very helpful to show farmers how the information is used, because every irrigator in Australia nowadays has a volumetric water allocation, and there are penalties that apply once you've used that yearly allocation of water. So knowing that your irrigation infrastructure is working very well as it can, and having good soil moisture and sometimes weather station information to back up the decisions you're making about when to turn the water on and off, helps you to utilise that water allocation as well as you can through the season. The information that we put out from catch can tests and from things like soil moisture monitoring is nowadays very easy to interpret. It's all graphical. Of course nowadays it's all available, so you can get it wherever you are, and generally shaves a lot of time off of managing water under something like a pivot. This project will help to manage water because it shows what can be done to make sure your infrastructure is running right, and also to show what information and how it's used comes from monitoring activities like soil moisture and weather stations, and how that translates into management on the farm. Knowing more about your soils is important for water use with irrigation systems, because the job of an irrigation system is to replace water in the soil that the crop has used. You really need to know how much water the crop has used and where in the soil profile it's been used from to be able to replace it effectively. Changing climate is something we all have to deal with and face, and certainly if we have our infrastructure running as well as it possibly can, it gives us the best chance to use our water allocations wisely every year, regardless of what the season brings us.